Again,
Let's watch Piers Morgan absolutely
bravely.
blaze the crap out
we
of
will
Donald
live
Trump.
proudly,
He had
and
one of the
nothing will
most
stand in our way.
Passionate. He had one of the most noble and one of the most charismatic speeches I've ever heard. Donald Trump is a good friend of mine, and I know he cares about the people. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because we are Americans, the future is ours, and our golden age has just begun.
I think that was Donald Trump's single best speech ever.
He's still the same gangster with neo-fascist sensibilities that he was before.
It certainly wasn't particularly gracious. He gave us a shopping list of everything that he wants to get done.
There's going to be up to 200 executive orders. Inaugural address there. Two things struck me. One, it was about...
I swear to God, if once they start talking about the January 6th pardons, if Piers Morgan brings up Joe Biden's pardons and tries to equate the two, I know that's what he's going to do because he has no integrity.
half as long as his first one. Very disciplined, very focused, hit all what he would call his greatest hits from his rallies. It looked to me like a guy who understands what he has to do second time round is absolutely deliver on promise. And if he does, his legacy could be extremely good. I also got a sense of somebody who genuinely believes it when he says he feels like he's got another chance after the assassination attempt. That bit of humanity in the speech was something he said to me a week after he got shot, that he just feels there was a reason why he got spared, and that he thinks it's to make America great again, and that's his great calling and purpose. What did you feel about those two things?
Yeah, I think that's quite a good analysis. And Piers, I think that was done.
Yeah, I don't care about this guy's glaze. I don't care about any MAGA glaze. I'll be honest. I'm at the point where MAGA says the same thing over and over again. Like, what? I rather hear them respond to something than talk about Trump, because all of it is a gawk session with Donald Trump deep-throating all the MAGA supporters down their throat. There's nothing productive about anything they have to say about Donald Trump. I'm gonna be honest.
Policy and economically and etc.
Hey, I respect MAGA supporters, but MAGA creators, different type of conversation.
But the other part that I really like, because it was necessary, was that much of the speech was directed completely at the people who were behind his left shoulder.
Yeah.
There are smiles.
Of what? Unarmed truth. Donald Trump, you know, he's my brother. I'm a Christian, but he promotes armed lies. And Donald Trump, you know, he's my brother. Gaza, Haiti, legacy of Martin Luther King committed to some deep
face in this city right now. Believe.
Who is the people up here? I know he did introductions earlier, but I can barely stand listen to Piers Morgan. He usually has an introduction, which is a big plus. So you got Dave Rubin, bot. We got Ben Ferguson, bot. We got Harry Sisson. I guess that's that guy. And Cornel West, and eventually a woman named Emily Mathis, or Dr. Emily Mathis, or something like that. I don't know. Journalist.
Believe it or not, here in D.C.
Well, there's no smile on Cornel West's face. Cornel, it's a golden age. The future is coming. America's been trampled into the ground by the Democrats, but the savior is here, and all is...
You see how Piers Morgan phrased that? America's been trampled to the ground by Democrats, but Donald Trump is about to be the hero. And people may go like, well, he's just joking. Come on. We've seen enough Piers Morgan to realize whether or not this is a joke. Come on now. This is
It's going to be great. Do you share that optimism?
Well, I'm a prisoner of hope, but for those of us who are committed to some deep conception of truth and love and justice, especially for poor and working people, not just here, but around the world. Africa, Gaza, Haiti. Legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. is one of what? Unarmed truth. Donald Trump, You know, he's my brother. I'm a Christian, but he promotes armed lies and unconditional hubris. Where was the focus on poor people? Where was the acknowledgement of the genocide? Where was the acknowledgement of working people, 62% living paycheck to paycheck? But he says prosperity, yes, we want prosperity. Will it be fairly distributed? We had the oligarchs sitting right next to him. They're speaking into his ear. And Martin Luther King Jr. says, wait a minute, when I died, I was dealing with oligarchs. When I died, I was dealing with increasing deregulated markets that makes it different for working people to gain access to fair wages. So it's a sad day for me, but I smile anyway because I believe in the possibility of human beings. And as a Christian, you know, I pray for Trump, I pray for his family, but I also recognize that he's still the same gangster with neo-fascist sensibilities that he was before, and I'm going to fight him. I love my enemies, but I'll be fighting him every fiber of my being.
Would you say that it's the behaviour of a gangster, Cornell, to give preemptive pardons to all your family and your mates?
Yeah, of course. What about Joe Biden though? What about Joe Biden? Hey, I've criticized Joe Biden. I think giving these preemptive pardons is a no-go for me. I understand why he did that, because he doesn't want these people to get attacked by Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has made it very clear that he's going to go after political adversaries. But regardless, this just sets up a bad precedent, right? And it gives ammo to the Republicans. But how much does that matter, considering they don't care about ammo anyway? They'll shoot regardless, right? So I don't know, man. It's a tough situation.
Bingo.
I mean,
That's what gangsters do in
How does
Africa.
that sit with your very powerful homily about?
I wonder if he's going to bring up the January 6th pardons, or if Pierre Morgan's going to be a little bot. We'll see.
The Democrats have their own gangsters, brother. They got their own genocide
Yes.
promoters and so forth. And not only that, there's a gangster in
They're
each
a
and every one of
cartel.
us. The question is whether we're willing to push it back and allow the best of us. That's the legacy of Martin King, but not just King. That's the legacy of Jesus of Nazareth, my brother.
Okay, let me bring Ben Ferguson in here. I mean, I do think the best thing that could possibly have happened for Republicans is not just that Trump obviously got elected again and in such overwhelming style, especially winning the popular vote, which kind of killed all arguments stone dead, but also that he did it in a way, and this was clear from the speech, which resonated with so many people that Cornell doesn't seem to think were remotely impacted or affected by this. Because he had a lot of poor Americans queuing up to vote for him, actually, who raced to the ballot box because in Trump they saw someone who does care about them.
Oh my God.
I don't agree.
This glaze is insane. This glaze. Oh my goodness. I think, wait, is that a little white on the corner of his mouth? Right here. You see the white right here? Do you guys think he forgot to clean it up? Do you think Trump grabbed his head like he grabbed girls by the pussy? Do you think that's what happened? I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
With Cornell there.
Questions.
What did you feel?
With all due respect, Cornell, I don't think you were listening, because the people in this country that are living paycheck to paycheck, they voted in overwhelming numbers for Donald Trump. Those that were concerned about their kids' future, and every time they pull up to a gas, if you're an American that's struggling, a single mom that's struggling today, someone whose kid's in a failing school, in my hometown, for example, of Memphis, Tennessee, where Martin Luther King was gunned down on this MLK Day, the majority of the schools there are failing. And what is
Some preemptive pardons.
Majority of the schools that are failing are in Republican states, by the way. I just want to, if we add in context, I just want to add context as well.
Before he left office.
President Trump is reportedly considering a wave of preemptive pardons. Does this concern you? All these preemptive pardons?
Well, it's a...
So it's funny. He looks up context. I bet you know what the funny thing is? I bet if I go in the past, Piers Morgan defended Trump when he did this. I bet that's what happened.
Told endless porkies about stuff like preemptive pardons.
Kash Patel. It's interesting, Pierce, that you're arguing for the view that somebody's opinion on something.
Oh, I think he's about to cook. Because usually if we're getting, like, if an educated person who knows if an educated MAGA supporter versus an educated non-MAGA supporter go up against each other, the MAGA supporter literally loses every single time. So let's see how bad this gets, because he's from TikTok and he's a college student. So all he has is to research political stuff, I guess. You know, shout out, man. What it means to be a college student.
Can't change if
I don't know
circumstances
anything about
change.
him, though.
So when President Biden made that claim, there was no threat toward Donald Trump or his family. And look at these guys, these losers laughing over here. But with Donald Trump appointing Kash Patel to the FBI, who said he wants to go, excuse me, be quiet, wanting to appoint Kash Patel to the FBI, who said he wants to go after his political opponents, Donald Trump, who said he wants to appoint a special counsel to go after Biden's family. Kash Patel has a list of people that he wants to go after and prosecute. So you're asking me, wait, why did Biden do this? Why did he pardon his family? Maybe because the Trump DOJ and Trump's administration is promising to come after them. I'm perfectly fine with Joe Biden doing that, given the unjust attacks that they've suffered for the past 4 years as the Biden family. And I also just want to finish with one thing. I don't know why losers like Dave Rubin are up here, because 4 years ago he said if Biden served a full term, he'll retire. So I wonder why Dave Rubin hasn't retired yet when he said 4 year ago he'd do so if Biden served a full term. So go along, David, and
hush,
get out of here.
Hush, Hobbit, for just a moment.
Yeah, look at Dave Rubin doubling down on.
Is that all he had? Hush, Hobbit. First he was hush, child. Hush, Hobbit. He has to make himself feel superior. That's one of the weakest tactics. You initially insinuate an insult to make yourself feel like you're greater than the other individual, to undermine everything they said, regardless of how true it is. It's a very strategic, very, very good tactic. Have I used this tactic? Do I use this tactic? I don't know. I don't think I use this tactic. I adhere to the substance that is being talked about.
I'm being wrong and lying. I thought you were retiring, Dave. What happened?
I said that in 2019 to illustrate the point back in 2019 that everyone knew, but mainstream media was hiding, which was that he was mentally compromised 5 years ago.
So you lied.
He has not.
Thank you for admitting that you lied about retiring.
If you think he's really been president or making the decisions, Harry, you've been wrong about everything. It's not even worth addressing you. But if I can make a point about.
Okay, so he got cooked, and he has to make it seem like his point is much more substantive than it actually is. The reality is he was talking out of his. And he lied. So,
About the oligarchs, to liars like you who say you're going to retire and then you don't.
All right. If I can make a point about referencing what Cornell said about the oligarchs, it's I think a little bit of low resolution thinking to look at the people standing behind Donald Trump and say, oh, they're oligarchs. These are job creators. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and some of those other people, and now bringing Zuckerberg in, and all of these people, whether you like them or not.
Define oligarch. Oligarchy. A small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. So people with a lot of power and a lot of control. The richest man in the world, who controls the #1 news outlet in the world, and another one of the richest men in the world, who controls probably one of the most intuitive companies and most versatile companies that affect so many people in terms of delivery and shopping and even watching videos on, and Twitch. So content creation. So if you were to think of anybody who was an oligarch, I feel like it would be the richest man, the two of the most richest men in the world. Maybe Dave Rubin has a definition of oligarch that is completely different. No, he doesn't. He's talking out of his ass. He's just chatting. That's exactly what's about to get going. I want to see if anybody pushes
back.
Or
not or anything else. These are innovators. These are people who have revolutionized industries and will continue to do so. They've created more jobs than any of us have, or any of us all combined. So I don't think that just saying, oh, but there's these rich, successful people out there.
You're not an oligarch
inherently bad. It's actually quite good, because now they're going to help Donald Trump unless the American economy.
Well, yeah, and also, look, I mean, in relation to someone like, hang on, Harry. I mean, Harry, look, in relation to someone like Elon Musk.
Grow up.
Well, Harry, in relation to someone like
Russian funding was keeping Dave afloat for a while.
Harry, time out. Don't get personal.
Yeah, also not true.
But when you talk about someone like Harry, I am actually trying to moderate a debate here.
No, you're
Elon
not.
Musk, for example, if you take him, I mean, I couldn't think of a more classic American immigrant success story than a guy who comes to America. He creates some of the biggest, most successful companies in the history.
Oh my God, I can't hear. It's like 10 feet long down his goddamn throat. You know what? I think this is actually what happened. Piers Morgan probably was nuanced one day. Then a xenomorph Trumpian. It's a xenomorph that went after a Trump, one of the Trumps, right? It evolved and became a Trump xenomorph, and then one of its things went down Piers Morgan's throat. So now that he's unconditionally loyal and he's super willing to just suck off Trump as much as he can. I think that's what happened. I think that is what I'm going with. All right.
History of planet Earth. Almost. I'll let Cornell answer that, actually. Cornell?
No, the point is this, that we're talking about a system. Carnegie came from Scotland with hardly a dime and became a multi-millionaire. He was an oligarch during the Gilded Age. He was a robber baron. He had a system in which he was able to ascend to the top, but it was predicated on capitalist processes such that working people had tremendous difficulty gaining access to wages, and it was predicated on tremendous power over politicians. Now, does Musk have tremendous influence over politicians? Does Bezos and others? Of course they do. And what's interesting about this is, if Brother Trump had lost, he would have said the system is rigged. Both of the candidates with gangster elements in both parties were tied to billions of dollars. 90 million fellow Americans decided what? Not to vote at all. So I'm not denying that working class Americans would vote for Trump, because if the only alternative is a milquetoast Biden, then what other choice do you have? Many of those folks have voted for Bernie Sanders, they voted for Obama. The system itself is so corrupt. That's what we have to come to terms with.
Dave?
I think people are so over this type of thinking. There are so many millions of people in America who are so unbelievably excited right now, and we are about to see an 80s-style revolution and reignition of the American dream. I think we are going to see booms in every industry across the country, from entertainment to manufacturing. You talked about cars again today and automobiles. We are going to see people dream again. You know, we have been in a 4-year lull. We've been in a mini depression as a country because we ushered in all of the worst socialist ideas. I hate to tell Cornell, but capitalism is the best system out there to free the people. And we are going to usher in capitalism. We're going to deregulate.
Biden was absolutely a socialist. He was a
oligarchy is not free markets. Oligarchic markets are not free markets at all. And Biden's no socialist. There's no socialism.
He's a communist. He's a Marxist.
You know what is interesting? You know what's interesting? This guy is not even pro-Democrat. He falls into a very interesting category, the more progressive and socialist type category. So he's not even defending Biden, but he is telling truths based off his interpretation and perspective, right? He probably believes in flaws in capitalism and believes that the government is inherently corrupt because it can reroute to benefit the elites and the millionaires and the billionaires, all that stuff, right? So he's keeping the same energy across the board for both Biden and Donald Trump. These MAGA bots that only have one way of thinking, they're trying to combat what he's saying with ammunition that is basically powder. They're using baby powder to fire it off because what they're saying makes no sense. He's saying they're oligarchs. He's also saying Biden had oligarchs. Then he's also saying that Biden's not a socialist at all. He believes in capitalism. And they're trying to say, no, he's a Marxist. Like, it's somehow, it just makes everything a lot more interesting and a lot more entertaining. That someone who doesn't even believe in the Democrat Party like that, like he's not a full-blown Democrat, is flaming yawning them because he actually has consistency based off their beliefs, and then they're just saying stupid crap as bits of poop just keep on falling out their mouth. It's crazy. Hey, even though I'm very hard on Ben Ferguson, Dave Rubin, and Piers Morgan because I think they are very destructive in terms of political discourse, that doesn't mean I hate MAGA. I have come around. I do not hate you, MAGA. I'm just cooking these guys because they're bots. I'm sorry. I get to, if they are deemed educated experts, I get to cook them. As for MAGA supporters, hey man, it is what it is. I don't blame you for voting for Trump. These dudes, it's free reign, man. They getting paid a lot of money to say the bull crap that they say on a consistent basis. Come on now.
Yeah, he's a communist.
When you go after political opponents and you raid their homes, Cornell, that is what socialists, Marxists, and communists do. When you have to give out pardons to your entire family,
that's authoritarianism.
When you have to get, I said it's different elements. You have socialism, communism, Marxism. That is the Democratic Party right now. But the part that
he just throws out words, and I bet he doesn't even understand what he's actually saying. Okay.
Truly shocked that the two of you still don't understand is why Donald Trump left in 2020, and a lot of people didn't like him, and he came back now, and people absolutely love him. And what you're missing, and part of me is shocked, and part of me is glad that you're missing it, because it means you guys don't know how to fight him, is that Donald Trump understood that there were people that were hurting in this country, and they were hurting so bad because of the policies that put Hunter Biden and James Biden and the Biden family ahead of the American people. When they weaponized, again, if that's what you see, this is why you lost. Because what you don't understand is when you weaponize the government the way that he did, when you go out there and the very last thing that you'll be remembered for is taking your criminal actions and covering them for your family. The last thing Joe Biden ever did in politics was give pardons to his criminal family members, Fauci and others on January
And that's hilarious. It's crazy that they have these opinions when Donald Trump did it first and Donald Trump said he's gonna do it again. It's crazy. It just doesn't. It's just insane to me. It's like I'm going mentally insane listening to MAGA content creators, MAGA media personalities. It's wild.
January 6th. The reason why he lost, the reason why Harris.
Elements of what you said. I just told you that one of the reasons why Trump won is because he poses as if he's a kind of populist because of the milquetoast neoliberal Democratic Party that didn't speak to working people, didn't speak to poor people, wars around the world, genocide in Gaza. I'm not a defender of it.
See, every single time that freaking anytime someone's filet mignoning one of the MAGA, Piers Morgan wants to interrupt. But if it's the other side, dead. I don't know how people are just not calling out Piers Morgan for being this fake, nuanced moderator that he says he is. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It's so blatant and obvious. It's right in my face.
Put me in that space.
All right, Cornell,
Put me in that space. You can tell the truth about the Republican Party and their greed and their neo-fascists.
I do need to.
We just disagree on that. We'll see.
Okay, I want to ask Harry. Okay, I want to ask Harry
Did he
this.
vote for Joe Biden?
Let me ask Harry this question. Harry Sissons, there's going to be
You said what?
Hang on,
Did you vote
Cornell,
for Joe Biden?
hang on, guys. I'm going to Harry. Harry, there's going to be an executive
I
order.
voted for myself.
Cornell, time out. I'm going to Harry for a question.
Okay.
Here's my question for Harry. There's going to be up to 200 executive orders unleashed, right? Many have already been signaled, many have already been announced. Some are in the speech, some afterwards. We know what a lot of these things are going to be, Harry. I'm just curious, genuinely curious, which ones you have a big problem with, right? For example, would you contest?
I swear to God, I really hope they bring up the ending of birthright citizenship. I really hope they do, and I really hope they bring up the pardons. Let me see if they brought up. Maybe, we'll see. I really hope.
It's a fact there is a crisis on the southern border.
No, I definitely think that there's a problem at the border, but it's just interesting that Donald Trump is declaring a national emergency on this, given the fact that the numbers right now at the border are similar or even lower than they were under Donald Trump's
administration. Well, the reason he's done that is because nearly 10 minutes. Harry, the reason is that
I don't want to hear Piers Morgan. I just don't. He's such a fucking he's such a fake moderator, bro. It's the same. This is how I feel about Piers Morgan. I think this is so you can kind of understand why I dislike Piers Morgan so much. Piers Morgan is the same to me as a corrupt cop, right? I've already said this before, that a cop that is corrupt is, under the same circumstance, is worse than the criminal that commits the same wrongful action, right? Because a cop is supposed to represent something in particular. A cop is supposed to be there as an individual that's supposed to be the symbol of justice, the arbiter of truth and goodness, right? A cop is supposed to be a standard. You're supposed to believe in what the cop does. If he uses that belief, if he uses that influence, that faith that people have in him, and use it for evil, that is 100% worse than a criminal doing any criminal action that is relatively equal. Piers Morgan is just as bad because he tries to pose himself as a moderator, pose himself as nuanced, pose himself as objective, but he uses that to instead empower one side and one side only. He is the worst type of person. For me, I pose myself as a moderator, as someone in the middle, as someone that is nuanced in terms of my standards. I always let people know my opinions. I do not like what Donald Trump represents, but I always, if something's good, I always say it's good. If something's bad on the left of the Democrats, I always say it's bad. I've already said on this video that Joe Biden doing his preemptive pardons, although I understand it, I also hate it. I hate the ability. I hate that the presidents could just pardon whoever they feel like. I think it's stupid, personally. See, I can be consistent with my standards and beliefs all across the board. Piers Morgan can't. He just can't. Oh, man.
nearly 10 million illegal immigrants got into America on the southern border in the last 4 years. That's an emergency.
Actually, that's not true. The majority of people who have come in recent years have come in through asylum, meaning that they are legal. This guy, you can keep saying yes, it is all you want. You just don't know what you're talking about. The majority of people who have come in through asylum, meaning that they're legal immigrants.
So how many illegal immigrants came in your special numbers that you find in some special place out of your ass? How many came in?
Just stop talking. Just stop. Nobody needs to
I want to know how many you think came in
majority of people come in through asylum. Now, Joe Biden tried to rewrite the asylum laws to make it harder for people to claim asylum improperly, and Republicans like Donald Trump blocked the bill. So it's fascinating to me that this is Donald Trump's day one executive order, and it's also for this Ferguson guy over here. Can you be quiet for 5 seconds?
You just agreed with me, Harry. Harry, to be fair,
hold on.
Harry, just to remind you, the first thing you did was agree with me. There's a crisis on the southern border.
No, Piers Morgan doesn't want you to finish at all. You got to realize that you're coming on a Donald Trump show when you come on Piers Morgan. This is not a I want to hear both sides type of show. It's a we're going to push Donald Trump propaganda and shit on the left. That's all this is. So if I'm you, Harry, if I'm anybody on that situation, I'm pushing my way to say what I got to say because I understand what this is. I understand this is a very purposeful type of a media machine. So you got to push your way through it. There's no moderator here. Piers Morgan is not nuanced. He's not a moderate. He's not objective. Just got to push.
So why wouldn't you agree that there should be an emergency order?
Well, I'm just curious as to where the emergency is. I think there's a crisis of the law. The law is lacking. I would like to see Donald Trump actually try to rewrite the asylum law.
So you think there's a crisis, but you shouldn't do anything about it? All right. Do you think the cartel gangs should be designated terrorist groups? Yes or no?
No problem.
No problem with that. Great. Okay.
So he played that stupid. Harry, push your way through. Get your point off. Fuck what Piers Morgan has to say. Get your initial point out. Don't let him dictate what your beliefs are. Push your way through, bro.
Can I take?
No, hang on. Do you think America has? Do you think there should be more than 2 genders in America?
Yeah, I don't know what that executive order means. I don't know what the president declared.
It means there are 2 genders, male and female. Do you disagree with that?
How many genders are there, Harry? Come on, little guy. How many genders?
Now Dave Rubin wants to pitch in after something that This is so ridiculous.
Again, these guys don't know what they're talking about, so they won't be able to.
Harry, how many genders are there?
How many genders are there, Harry?
How many genders are there?
What's the leak? I'm going to use Joe Biden's answers. At least 2. At least 2. That satisfies.
How many more other than male female?
That's a TikTok answer.
There's at least 2.
Yeah.
There's at least 2.
Well, hang on. There's at least 2 genders. There's 2 sexes. Just make the distinction. It's not that hard. Move on. And if I'm you, Harry, push your way through. Say what you got to say. Fuck what all these guys got to say. Push
As male and female.
Like human brain
Donald
rot.
Trump says it's male and female. There are 2.
Dave,
how many more are there after male and female, Harry?
There's at least 2. Now, anyway, let me get back to
How many more are there?
What are the other ones?
There's at
Keep
least 2.
pushing.
What are the other ones?
Harry, let's try it this way. You're a
Keep
female.
pushing,
What is
Harry.
the other gender?
Keep pushing.
It's so funny how these conservatives just get time to lie on this show, but when I'm speaking, they'll all
We
interrupt
asked a
and there's no
damn
problem.
question.
You've just been asked a very simple question, Harry.
Conversation with Piers, not you, Mr. Combe, over. Relax.
Harry, you simply
Thank you
got
so
asked
much.
if there are at least
Keep
2
pushing
genders.
through,
How many more
Harry.
are there
Piers,
than male and female?
Keep pushing
You asked me about
Who
Donald
cares
Trump's
if
executive
you-
order. I'm trying to explain how legally it makes absolutely no sense and it's going to get sued in court. Then we go into culture wars with Dave Rubin, this Ferguson guy, asking how many genders are there.
No,
I'm
I'm
trying to answer
asking
your question.
you.
They're screaming their faces off.
I'm
It
asking
doesn't
you.
fucking matter.
I'm asking you.
Oh God, this
And
child.
Piers,
I'm asking you, Harry.
Piers,
How many genders
I'm
are
answering
there?
your question.
Harry,
Piers, I've answered your question.
Harry, how many genders are there?
2. There are at least 2.
2 or at least 2?
100?
Hang on,
Are there
Ben.
100?
Hang on, Ben. I've got
More
this.
or less than
Can
100?
I answer the question?
Yes,
for Brother
Cornell.
Harry?
Answer the question.
Can I answer the question
Yes.
for Brother Harry? Because Brother Harry
Yes,
trying to hold
help
on.
him out, Cornell.
That according to Shakespeare, all of us are androgynous. There are men and there are women. There are different sides of human beings, all made in the image of a God that has a dignity and a sanctity. And if you're going to try to start demonizing precious trans folk, then I'm going to be fighting. But it's not. But
I agree with them. I agree with them. I agree. Don't
This is all the left has left. It's really
I've got to say, the torture is
Because you try to let him, you don't let anybody talk. Piers Morgan always interrupts people. Oh my goodness, let's see. Let's get to the pardons, and then I'm gonna end this video because I could barely stand. I'm curious to see like how these conversations go. I'm just curious to see if Piers Morgan's ever had a spine. That's what I want to see.
I think when you're reduced to quoting,
I disagree with by any chance?
Yeah, sure. But what about that one? About the 2 genders?
Yeah.
I can't work out.
2 genders. Let's go back to that.
Well, hang on, I can't work out whether you agree or disagree.
Oh my God,
Donald Trump
they're
says
so
specifically,
obsessed with
Harry,
gender
there are
stuff.
2 genders, male and female. That's it. At least 2 genders.
Ted Cruz's buddy over here with
Harry,
needs to be quiet.
it's Piers talking to you. I simply want to know, Harry. You said you wanted to go back to the list of executive orders, whether you agreed or not. You say there are.
My answer, Piers. My answer doesn't change.
No, but your answer doesn't make any sense. What do you mean?
It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Piers, you can think my answer doesn't make any sense. You're going to ask me the question again. We're going to go back and forth.
No,
I'd
like you to explain what you mean.
It makes no sense.
No, I'm asking.
See, this is the problem. He's too far left that he won't say. Just say. These questions are so easy to answer, bro. Why everybody make answering questions so difficult?
Trump is a
I'm moving ahead, bro.
When you say something like that,
listen,
hypocrisy not absolutely astounding, Dave?
Be quiet. Get a job, kid. Listen.
Look,
This is exactly
this smug,
nonsensical drivel is what everyone hates. Look, Piers, if you may remember, what was it, a few months ago? I think it was a day before Joe Biden stepped down when Harry and I were on the panel, and he was saying how brilliantly sharp and never sharper. He's, oh my God, his brain.
DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Trump is on the rampage about this, and I sort of feel he's right. I feel like it went way too far to the extent
of course
that,
you feel he's right.
Conversation.
You
We
think
just want
wrong?
openness, sensitivity, recognizing people can agree and agree to disagree, and recognizing all of us are cracked vessels. And DEI began because of the vicious legacy of white supremacy in America, where you had 100 years of black people enslaved and another 100 years of Jim and Jane Crow. Does everybody on this screen agree that slavery and Jim Crow are evil?
Yes.
Can we get an agreement on that?
Of course, but America was not a white supremacist nation.
So we had to respond and we had to do something.
So can we agree that this which are objectively evil are evil? Of course, but like, shut up, Dave Rubin. Come on, answer a freaking simple question. What's wrong? Yo, these people can't answer questions. Jesus Christ, it's not hard. Are there two genders? No, there are more than two genders because gender is more of a social construct, whereas sex, there's two sexes, 100%, male and female. Just make that simple. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard to understand. Like, just simple answers. And if they go like, well, there's only two genders. Why is there two terminologies? Why is gender and sex two different terminologies then? Right? Like, they're obviously different. They obviously serve different purposes. So it's ridiculous, bro.
About it. We had to do something about it. What that meant was there was already some mediocrity in the system before the black folk and brown folk and others came in. It's called white male mediocrity. That had been part and parcel. There was white male excellence too. There was white male mediocrity. And the question became broadening the pool to make sure you had merit in those who deserved access. What happened when you talk about the social engineering? I'm not a social engineer. I want fairness.
All right, don't talk over each other.
Across the board.
Okay,
I don't want rhetoric. I want fairness across the board.
Let me bring in Ben. My question. I don't dispute a lot of what Cornell just said, Ben. Other than it wasn't really.
Let me say this.
Well, hang on. Let me just make the point. I want to make the point. It wasn't really the answer to my question, which was: has the pendulum of DEI swung too far, where actually the same problem that Cornell identified rightly about what was going on in the slavery years, completely right to say that, but has it gone too far now as a corrective tool, where actually mediocrity has surpassed meritocracy? And who does that help when that happens? I think nobody.
I would say, based on what we just saw out of the Biden administration and leadership, the answer is yes. But I go back to Martin Luther King's dream.
I don't want to hear this dude talk. I'm gonna be honest. I just don't. I'm sorry. I just don't. I just don't.
Certain things, first and foremost, and everyone else shut up and sit down. That is not the American dream that Martin Luther King had.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Sissons, how can you disagree with that in all good conscience?
I don't even know what the hell he just said. He just ranted for like 2 minutes about absolutely nothing. Yeah, no, he just ranted for 2 minutes.
You don't understand what he said. It was pretty damn clear, dude.
Look, he wants to bring up MLK and his dream, and the idea that he supports Donald Trump while simultaneously supporting MLK is laughable. I think we need to have opportunity for everybody. We need to have opportunity for everybody. Just I'll explain it if you just stop talking. Nobody needs to hear you speak 24/7. I guarantee it. It's just ironic that he supports Donald Trump and MLK because a lot of Donald Trump's policies are directly hurting a lot of the people that MLK advocated for. Even if you're talking about working class Americans, I'm happy to tell you again if you'd stop talking. Working class Americans, like with tariffs, for example, MLK spoke extensively about helping middle class Americans come up through the ranks. With these tariffs, it's just going to raise costs for everybody. All these folks have been complaining about high prices for 4 years. 25% tariffs on Canada, where we get a bunch of our lumber and our oil, for example. That'll make everything more expensive. And 10% more tariffs on China, 25%.
Yes, he did. Did this come out like? What is going on? I'm confused. He said this in a speech. Am I tripping? Did these people not watch the speech? I thought this was about watching the speech. I didn't watch the speech, but I've done enough like surface level research to understand a good number of stuff that he said during that time. Like, what is going on?
Tariffs on Mexico. My God, this stuff is going. Every major economist agrees that this stuff is going to raise prices. So when you're saying, "Oh, I support MLK and I support Donald Trump," please acknowledge the hypocrisy of yourself, and also have some self-control. Have some self-control.
Look at what was said in Canada's newspapers today. If you look at what you just said today,
dude, shut up! Jesus Christ.
There's a bit too much bro energy raging. We're going to have a little break for the bros for a couple of minutes. We're going to bring in Emily Maitlis from the Newscasters podcast, because the president's relationship with traditional media, the enemy of the people, as he sometimes puts it, already appears to be changing. Major networks, and notably...
Stop swearing. I'm so sorry.
So, Emily, you're in DC, and what I've been really struck by with Trump's win this time, and I felt it for a while, is the complete lack of the same resistance that existed 8 years ago. No great marches, no great protests. The media, much more supine, much more respectful now.
And I remember the morning after Inauguration Day, was a Saturday, and the Women's March basically took over the whole of DC, and we reckon there must have been 1 million people on the streets then. I don't think we're going to see that again. And partly I think it's just a fact of novelty. You know, we're sort of all feeling the same muscle memory, maybe of 8 years ago, but you don't have George Bush, you know, standing there saying, what is all this, you know, batshit talk, because we're slightly more used to it. We know what Trump looks and sounds like. We know what he wants to do. And the American Carnage speech even of 8 years ago, I thought was pretty much echoed today. I mean, I didn't find it any more moving or any less moving. It certainly wasn't particularly gracious, but it kind of did what it said. You know, he gave us a shopping list of everything that he wants to get done. And I think we're just more used to it now. So maybe that's why. I mean, maybe that's why people are kind of not pushing back. Maybe it's also because the win this time was so broad. You know, it wasn't insoluble in the sense that I don't think the Democrats could reverse it in 4 years' time. But it was broad. It was both houses. It was the popular vote, something that, you know, Trump took time out in his inaugural speech to tell us. And I think that is a real source of pride for him, that nobody can start sort of digging into that and saying, well, he didn't win this or he didn't win that. And I think there is more acceptance maybe because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that it's really interesting to see all the people as part of his bro. Trump would call it a movement to him, but there's been a movement away from Democrats. And I think it's partly
to stop your company going under and you'd like to stop Elon Musk getting all the limelight, then you kind of do whatever you need to do. And I interviewed Mark Zuckerberg, then Facebook, about a decade ago, you know, when Facebook was just starting up. And he doesn't seem like a politically engaged guy, particularly. You know, his idea of Facebook was just running with your friends, sharing recipes with your friends, hooking up with your friends. I don't think he was thinking ever in terms of being a publisher. And so in some senses, when the diktat came in the first time round from Biden, from lawmakers during the first Trump era of like, how did you let this happen? How did you let democracy, you know, get overturned? How did you stop fact checking? I think he brought in the fact checks slightly against his natural will. And I think now he's very good at going with the political wins. He's a businessman. He wants to do whatever keeps the people in power happy. But it's really interesting that while
I think that's a fair assessment on who Mark Zuckerberg is. He does what he got to do to keep the company alive.
Been sitting here watching, you know, the bros, the sort of the oligarchy behind Trump. If you're not part of that, but you are part of the tech circle, you know, if you're watching this from Davos, you're kind of scared. You're thinking, why aren't I there? Why aren't I part of that? Am I losing out because I'm not getting the same vibes that the sort of the 6 chosen ones are coming? And, you know, some of them, I'm hearing stories, some who are very well connected, who have been very strong Democrat supporters, weren't actually getting enough support from Biden in the last 4 years of the administration. No. They weren't getting help on the kind of stuff that they wanted help with.
We're going to play a clip of Steve Bannon on this very issue because he's really against the bro-oligarchy, and in particular, Trump's very close friendship now with the tech oligarchs. Let's take a look.
Zuckerberg's, road to Damascus came a little late. It was.
Before I listen to this, I think that's a very interesting point. Donald Trump is extremely good at resonating with parts of America that honestly you should be, right? The tech company, content creators, podcasters. He's in tune. I mean, this man was on WWE, for goodness sake. Like, he's in tune with the people despite being a millionaire. Now, because he's in tune with the people, he's able to constantly, honestly, manipulate them quite frequently and quite easily. Because no matter how many times he goes bankrupt, he still is able to make money. He has a sixth sense on understanding what the people want. And I do think that is a credit to Donald Trump, especially as a businessman.
After the 5th of November. It's very, now he wants to be a bro. He kung fu fights. He's going to UFC. He's got his hair done differently. He's cut. That doesn't hack it with me. That guy will flip on President Trump, and he'll flip on us in a second. When it's convenient for him, he will flip.
You called Elon Musk a truly evil person.
Yeah.
It's a little harsh.
He said that the MAGA movement was a bunch of racists and that they should be turfed out of the Republican Party. He may or may not mean that. But to me, there has to be an accounting for that.
Dave Rubin, I mean, there is a real sort of split here, isn't there, between diehard MAGA like Steve Bannon and those on the Republican side prepared to just accept this for what it is, that actually the more people who run great big social media platforms who come to the Republican side, the better. Where do you sit with this?
Sure. I'm not sure how big the divide really is. I mean, we had that week before Christmas when everyone was fighting about H-1B visas. I think there is some nuanced version of all of this that they will get to some answer on. But I want to address what Bannon said there about Zuckerberg, because that actually gets to the heart of this. Look, I don't know, like none of us on this panel or really anyone outside of Mark Zuckerberg himself, I don't know what's in his heart. So he had this mea culpa. He's seemingly coming around, but I never heard him say, I'm sorry. So I do agree. Had the election gone the other way, would he be doing this? Probably not. But that also gives you opportunity. And this is what Donald Trump is a master of. Donald Trump is a master of taking people who used to not like him or who he didn't like, seeing the winds change, and then bringing them in. So if, because the culture has changed, and because Donald Trump is now president, if that enables Mark Zuckerberg to respect the First Amendment and free speech more honorably than he did under the previous administration, that would be great. At the same time, I would also say that I would love to hear Mark Zuckerberg, he went on Rogan and he said that the government was calling Facebook and berating them to take down posts. Well, how about at least tell us who from the government did that? Could we at least know their names? That would be pretty good. So I think there's more he can do. And I would, again, I'm as suspect as Bannon is when it comes to Zuckerberg, but all of these guys being up there, whether it's Musk, who was a Democrat his entire life, or it's Bezos, who on the side of bringing more people in and dealing with these things transparently. Let's not forget the whole H-1B visa thing.
Word is this, that the splits are going to
dealing with these things transparently. Let's not forget the whole H-1B visa thing. The fight happened transparently. It didn't happen the way they got rid of Biden behind closed doors. It all happened on Twitter where you could see the
But they're trying to make it look like a win. Interesting. And he didn't really say anything about Elon.
fight. That's America actually at its best. That's what the battle of ideas is all about.
Pierce,
There's going to be an interesting divide with how like Elon Musk controls the internet, so to speak, more specifically Twitter. And then Donald Trump controls the country, so to speak, to an extent at the very least. I wonder how this divide will continue to work out. Because there will be an innate fear to betray Trump. We already know this. But there will also be an innate fear to betray Elon Musk as well.
This goes back to when Donald Trump met with leaders that people said you couldn't meet with.
Sorry, hang on, Ben. Sorry.
My last word is this.
Yes.
That the splits are going to increase because when you have an allegiance to profit making and greed and not to public interest and common good, and when you don't have the right integrity, honesty, and decency, lo and behold, the spiritual decay, it becomes more manifest. But we just have to keep fighting and keep trying to tell the truth. And Martin said, truth crushed earth will rise again.
Dr. Cornel West, always great to have you on our Censor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Ben, back to you.
I want to go back to one of the reasons why I think he's brought in these guys. This is Donald Trump's policy. He went and met with leaders.
I don't care what Ben Ferguson has to say.
Credit, what do you mean? What credit?
Hold on. Let me just give some context here, though. I do want to point out that Donald Trump did sign an executive order when he was president the first time to ban TikTok. So the reason that this conversation started was because of Donald Trump in 2022 and 2023. People like Charlie Kirk, and I'm sure maybe these folks over here that I don't know for sure, were advocating for the banning of TikTok. And now when Donald Trump gets some money from people who have stake in it and he sees an opportunity to become more popular with Gen Z, then he flips his position. He's a flip-flopper. So am I thankful that Donald Trump flipped his position?
That's exactly what happened. Oh my goodness. What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with the yo?
And I also want to point out that
Harry
Joe Biden
tacitly admitting that TikTok is Chinese spyware? Are you admitting that it's owned by the Chinese government?
Yo. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna let it go.
I don't know how you could have gotten that from me saying that Donald Trump wanted to ban TikTok, but of course you draw conclusions that aren't there. You'd fail the LSAT in a second, Dave Rubin. Anyway, I also want to point out that Joe Biden laid the foundation for. You know, Piers, it's remarkable you took Russian money on your show. Why would you let somebody who took Russian money on your show? It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that people with Russian money funneling to their... Anyway, let me finish, Dave. Would you just be quiet, please? Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for being obedient. Joe Biden laid the foundation for TikTok to stay alive in the United States. He said that they won't enforce the law, that they're going to let the enforcement go to Donald Trump and his administration. So that laid the foundation.
Is TikTok Chinese spyware?
Because
he just doesn't shut up. Okay. He just doesn't shut up. He doesn't... These MAGA... Oh, bro, these people, bro. These people, they're infuriating. They're like children. Jesus.
Do you have evidence to suggest that it is, Dave?
Yes. Oh, hell of a lot of it.
Yes. Oh, please.
Yes.
Lay it on.
I know you make money from them, but hell yes.
Lay it on us, guys.
They won't let you have it on
Lay it on us, guys. Lay it on us, guys. What's the evidence?
Okay,
What's the evidence that's
let's go through it.
Harry, is Chinese TikTok different than American TikTok? Yes or no?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Oh,
I'm still waiting for all this evidence.
Yes, China has a different app than America does. Dave Rubin, stop being an idiot, bro. Come on.
I'm still waiting for all this evidence that you guys says is so present. And by the way, if it is,
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Listen carefully.
Hold on, wait, Ferguson. Let me finish this really quickly. Ferguson, let me finish this really quickly. I'll let you speak. I'll let you speak. Ferguson, let me finish. Let me finish, and then I'll let you speak. Ferguson, I'm done. Let me finish, and then I'll let you speak. If you guys are arguing that it's Chinese spyware, are you saying that Donald Trump is currently arguing for a spyware a mobile device?
No, because you again, this is where I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you politics here.
So it is Chinese spyware, and Donald Trump is advocating for it to stay, but it's not Chinese spyware. Now I want to hear Ben Ferguson talk. All right, let's hear it.
Of course, it's Chinese spyware, but not when Donald Trump advocates for it. I love the hypocrisy on this channel.
All right, Harry, let him. Now I want to hear him talk.
I'm going to apologize to the
Don't talk over each other, please.
Shut up, dude, and I'll explain it to you. And I apologize to all the audience.
Harry,
shut up. See, you can't be doing the same things that they do. You can't boil down to the level. He will grow out of it. He's probably pretty young. You got to realize that they're just immature. Honestly. All right. Let me hear it.
Let Ben respond to you.
Okay, I'm going to apologize to all of the audience right now that doesn't need this explanation because you're smart enough to understand it. Now, Harry, for you, what Donald Trump said when he wanted to ban it, what Donald Trump said when he wanted to ban it is that it was clearly Chinese spyware. And there's a reason why governments, where cell phones and official government phones are not allowed to have this app on their phone.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, what he did say was, I'm okay with TikTok as long it is divested from China. Now, let me explain what that means to you.
No. Okay. All right, I see the strategy. I'm not mad at the strategy because one of the big talking points right now is that it has to be divested by China, or divested by ByteDance, more specifically. So, if I'm Harry in this situation, I would just ask a follow-up question. So, TikTok was supposed to be banned January 19th or January 20th. No, January 19th. It was supposed to be banned. Donald Trump wanted to extend it. That hasn't been divested. Honestly, it didn't need to be here anymore. But let's say I give you the benefit of the doubt. He wanted to give him more opportunity to divest it. Okay, sure. Not mentioning Project Texas after all, but we'll move on. If it doesn't get divested, in your heart of hearts, do you think Donald Trump will keep TikTok or let it go? That's the only question I would ask. Very simple question.
Just clearly to understand it.
We
They
know
don't want the
TikTok.
Chinese government
in this field,
to
trust
be
me, I
able to
understand.
spy
But
on
has TikTok
everyone
divested
and
yet,
have
Ben?
all of their information and
Has
to put out
TikTok divested
propaganda
yet?
from the Chinese Communist Party.
Has
So
TikTok
here's
divested
your
yet, Ben?
recap for you. Donald Trump said that if we change who owns TikTok to an American company that's not being controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, also known as the CCP. Again, if you're never going to learn, buddy, if you don't listen, okay?
Premise 2 is false. Premise 2 is false. Your premise 2 is false. Your conclusion cannot be true.
Again, you can argue in a second, but listen, and maybe you'll learn something. I know you're making all your money from the Chinese Communist Party via TikTok. I get that.
And Dave is making his money from the Russians. Right, we understand. Right,
Dude, shut the fuck up. Piers, this kid is
He got so triggered. Oh my god, that was a good one, Eric. That was a good one, my boy. That was a good one.
I've gotten under his skin.
No, because you're just like a little rat. Nothing. We're here trying to actually discuss important things.
You're not trying to discuss jack shit. Shut the fuck up.
Unbelievable resurgence of America. And he brings you on.
By the way,
dude, he brings you on because the commenters all think you're retarded. Okay, that's what's really going on.
Freaking out right now. This guy's having a mental breakdown over there. Relax, David.
No, he's having a mental breakdown.
Wait. Viewers, can I just quickly rebuttal like 5 seconds?
No, you can't. Dave, I'm going to go to you. Dave, I want to talk to you about something completely.
Of course, you can't rebuttal, of course, because Piers Morgan has no integrity. Did Melania get enough credit? I wonder if Piers Morgan's ever going to talk about the crypto coin, the pardons. He ain't talking about the pardons. He ain't talking about the crypto coin. He's not talking about the end of birthright citizenship because Piers Morgan has no integrity.
Hopefully non-contentious, although I doubt it the way Harry's been behaving. Melania Trump.
Okay, yeah, Piers, go suck a fat one. I'm gonna be honest. I'll be just as triggered as you. Ain't no way you see how they were acting the entire time and just coming. Piers Morgan is so. Oh my god, he's such a bot. I do not like Piers Morgan. All right, let's continue. I don't want to watch this one, but I do want to watch the Zhang versus. This might be a little late, but I'm curious to watch it.